Hello everyone, and from my cabin in the Indian Ocean in the midst of the Arabian Sea, where we just left Cochin, India, welcome to Sailing with Sof, a podcast where I, Sofia, or Sof, take you along my adventures as a college student living and studying on a ship for about 4 months, while my shipmates and I traverse through the ocean and travel to multiple countries across 3 continents. For a quick overview, I'm on the spring 2024 voyage from January to April of a study abroad program called Semester at Sea, and our port of embarkation was in Bangkok, Thailand, so I flew there, embarked the ship, and we actually have had our first port destination, which was in Penang, Malaysia, since embarking the ship, and we had another port destination after Malaysia. That was in Cochin, India. We only left India about 2 days ago. But now we're on our way to Mombasa, Kenya, so that is very, very exciting. I cannot wait. I'll be doing a safari, so I'm very excited for that. Now in this episode, I'll be doing a quick little solo episode just catching you up on how my life on the ship has been and how this semester at sea journey has been going so far. Before I do so, first I wanted to say that if you have any episode ideas or certain things you would like to know about this experience, maybe even a guest you would like to have on, feel free to let me know, whether it's in the comments or if you have my number, feel free to reach out. I plan on having totally different episodes where I talk about what I've been up to while in port in Malaysia and India and all the other countries we'll be visiting, likely with some special guests. But anyways, let me start off by telling you about my time on the ship and what I've been up to. First, for context, I'm just about 1 month into my voyage, which is crazy. It literally has gone by so fast. Even the days in port, probably those days especially, they just fly by because we were just in India, and thinking back to the first day in India, it just seems like so long ago. It's so sad, but the fact that 1 month is already over is crazy. I cannot believe it. Personally, life on the ship, I have to say, has been awesome for me. I love it. I have 0 complaints. I mean, how could I have any complaints? I'm living on a ship, studying on a ship. But I also think I'm pretty easy to please too, so keep that in mind. It may or may not be an unpopular opinion, but I would not mind just sailing around the ocean or the world without stopping anywhere. That would be crazy, but now I think I know that I could totally survive, at least for a month. But just staring out into the ocean, the beautiful blue water, seeing the waves, it is so nice. I'm totally gonna miss it, but I have to savor it for the next 3-ish months. Because who knows the next time I'll ever be back on a ship. But definitely sometime in my future, I hope to come back on Semester at Sea because that would be a full circle moment. So yes, I definitely feel like I could live on a ship for a long time. If there's a job that involves that, sign me up. That could be cool. I don't think I was so worried about living on a ship anyways, even though I'd never been on one before. Even the seasickness part, I really wasn't too worried about. On like the first night or two on the ship, when we actually left port, or when we left the Bangkok port, they gave every student two little seasickness pills. That's all I've taken ever since. I'm not a pill person. I don't like to rely on that type of stuff. Yeah, no problems with seasickness at all. Beat that, Daniel. I know you thought I was gonna get seasickness, so haha. One of my brothers was like, yeah, you're gonna get seasickness. Now, as far as my schedule on the ship goes, I still need to work on this a month in. Every day, I don't have class until 10 a.m., which is great. I'm a big fan of that because I always have the option to sleep in. I can always have a whole morning to myself, get some work done, be productive. However, I also don't finish class until 6:30 p.m. or 18:30 ship time / military time because that's actually how we operate here, if you're curious. So I really need to balance getting some work done during this time while also working out, playing some basketball or even volleyball or ping pong. So balancing that, I still probably could work on better, but you can definitely keep yourself busy on the ship, as you hopefully can tell. I'll tell you more about the things you can do throughout this episode. First, I knew coming onto the ship that there was a little basketball court, so of course I brought my own ball, and I have definitely been able to meet some people through that. So that's been fun. Then, of course, there's different sports clubs, so I'm a part of those. There's a whole group me texts saying, oh, we're up in the court, feel free to come, things like that. And the basketball court, let me tell you, It has the best freaking view because it's at the highest point of the ship that we're allowed to go to. You can see the skyline, the horizon. It is so nice up there. And the basketball court can also be used as a volleyball court. So I play volleyball sometimes too, even though I'm god awful at volleyball. There's also ping pong. I played just a few times, but I definitely want to do that more because that's actually how I even met some people. Then now we'll say hello to each other. So simple things like that are great ways to meet some people. There's actually a pool on the ship, which I haven't even been in yet. Of course, it's a big hot spot with all the kids here, all the students. People tanning as well is huge. I personally would rather be active, getting a sweat on, than sitting and tanning while probably also getting a sweat on. So that's how my priorities lie. I don't even know how they study out there because you have the sun in your freaking face, and while sweating, I just don't like that combo because I need to study like in between my classes. That's what I'm trying to balance. Ooh, let me tell you about the ship food. I have always been a fan. I'm easy to please with food as well. People say there's a bunch of rice, potatoes, pasta, which is very true, but I think they do a great job of mixing it up. And they always have some dessert to go with it. There's also snack time at like 10 p.m. I would go to that pretty often, but now I'm trying to go to bed a little earlier so I can wake up earlier. But they have a bunch of leftovers of their delicious desserts. Oh, my mouth buds are watering. So there's two main dining halls, Berlin, which is on deck 6, and Lido, which is on deck 8. I always would hear that you're either a Berlin person or a Lido person. Personally, I like Lido better if I had to pick because one, it's on deck 8, which is top of the ship. You have the outdoor part where you can eat outside, enjoy the beautiful view, see the water, hear the waves. So I always try to go there, especially during breakfast time because it's not too hot, and during dinner time because again it's not too hot, and both of those times you can generally see either the sunrise or maybe the sunset. So I'm a big fan of that. Berlin is cool because if you get a seat or a table right next to the window, you can see the water super up close, and that's always fun. So besides the two main dining halls, you also have various places where you can buy foods or different snacks from what's called your shipboard account. And this is where you have to pay an additional cost that is not included in the price of what you pay for a semester at sea. For instance, at the pool bar, which is right near the pool, of course, they have smoothies, ice cream sundaes, pina coladas. Then they definitely have muffins, I'm pretty sure, cookies, crunch bars, M&Ms, things like that. It is hard to resist. I was just talking with someone yesterday, and he was saying how they should have acai bowls. And oh my gosh, that would be crazy if they did because that would go so hard. Acai is so good. They would definitely make a lot of money through that. Let me tell you, they would get a lot of my money, that's for sure. And I decided to wait it out a few weeks to actually get something from the pool bar. Then my friend kind of convinced me and pretty much got me hooked because I caved in for one smoothie. What'd I get? A strawberry banana smoothie. And it wasn't even like that great. A smoothie is a smoothie. You can't really mess it up. It's nothing spectacular, but you really can never go wrong with a fruit drink. Now, as academics go, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little disappointed in some of my classes. Most people only take 4 classes, which is what I take for 12 credits. I was so excited for classes leading up to SAS, but I'm not sure if some of them have really exceeded my expectations. I honestly wish I could take some other great classes where I've heard the professors are great. Now, every day at sea, you have class, and it's either an A day or a B day. And on A days, I have 2 classes. B days, I have 3 classes. My first class on both A day and B day is Global Studies, which is actually a class everyone on the ship takes, even the adults sailing with us. I'll give you a very short synopsis because I'm sure I'll touch on this in a later episode. But in this class, you learn about the countries and the continents you'll be traveling to, you know, their cultures, and you also learn about the ocean, that aspect, practicing sustainability, things like that. You meet every day for an hour, and it's a lecture class, which for me is very new because I've always gone to smaller schools. My college is very small, so this is by far the largest class I've ever had because it is literally half of the ship, excluding the crew, of course. And if I'm being honest, I'm not a fan of the style. We'll see how I do on the midterm exam though, which is coming up. I find that it's almost like you're taking 2 or 3 classes in one. It's a mix of a history class. I'm not really a history person. A science class. I'm not really a science person. You're probably thinking, what type of person are you? And it's also like a reflection type interpersonal and intrapersonal class. So learning how you can interact with others and then learning also about yourself, which, is always interesting. But I really have to work on finding an efficient system for taking notes and remembering and mastering everything we're learning. I will keep you updated on how I'm doing academically. Anyways, there are 2 blocks for global studies. One is 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. or 10 to 11 a.m. Let me tell you, I'm so glad I have the later block because I just know if I had that first block, I would likely have to rely on a lot of naps throughout the day, and I'd rather not do that because on semester at sea, you definitely are lacking in your sleep, let me tell you. So again, we're on A days here. I have global 10 to 11. After that, my last class on A days is 5:10 to 6:30 p.m. And this is video production, and this is by far my favorite class. I love it. The professor of this class is awesome. I like making videos for fun, and now I can actually learn the technical side of it, which is definitely difficult because you have to be really creative. As far as B days go, again, I have 10 to 11 global studies. Then I have oceanography from 11:10 to 12:30. So a science class, and as I said before, I'm not a science person, so I'm hoping the class goes well. We've only had like 7 meetings so far, I think. This is for all the classes. And we have our first quiz tomorrow. Again, I'll keep you updated. The professor is very, very nice though. When you don't take a science class for a long time, you're like, what the heck is going on here? So that's sometimes how I feel. But it's just a lot of memorization I'll have to do, which cannot be so difficult. It's just, in order to succeed in this class, I need to practice my memorization skills. So that's what I have to do before this quiz. Now, my last class on B days is again the latest block from 5:10 to 6:30, just like my video production. But this class on B days is Foundations of Entrepreneurship class. Nothing too difficult. We just have pop quizzes, which, if you want to call it annoying, I mean, I'd agree it is annoying. You always have to be prepared with the readings, which I always am. It's just like if you dissect the freaking readings and then you get the question wrong, you're like, no. Fortunately, this has not happened yet. I think we've only had like 1 or 2 pop quizzes. This is my first businessy type class, and so far, like, it's nothing difficult. What else on the ship? Ooh, so we actually have a spa here. We have a hair place, nail place. Pretty cool. I got my nails done on 2 separate occasions. One time was actually in port in the morning because I had to leave later in the day. So I just figured I'd walk in for an appointment. And the workers, again, are very, very nice. The workers here everywhere are super, super nice. I have to say, I got a manicure and a pedicure, and they did a great job. Shruti and Bella, very nice. Shruti is from India, Bella is from South Africa, and those are both countries we have or will visit on this voyage, which is very fun. They can give you recommendations if you're on a future voyage, by the way. Again, manicure, pedicure, they did a great job. I will say the prices here obviously are very expensive compared to if you were to go back to your hometown nail salon, so just be aware of that. But hey, it's worth it. They did a great job. There's also something called fancy dinner here, which is where you pay about $40 for, you guessed it, a fancy dinner. I have yet to go to one. I am signed up for one tomorrow, which I'm very excited for. It was very last minute, but I hear you get like 5 entrees, some dessert, a bottle of champagne or a glass of champagne. So I'm very excited to go tomorrow. You get a little dressed up, and I'll be going with a group of 4, not including myself. I'll keep you updated on how that went. I'm very excited though. Now, socially, I feel like I have a good group of people where if I want to have a meal with someone, I could totally text someone in a group chat or find someone to eat with. I'll be honest though, when I walk around, I feel like I don't know so many of the people that I pass. Like, I feel there's always a new face to meet, which I think is a good thing. And I like it that way rather than knowing every freaking single person in the first month. I'm not going to complain about that. I also feel like I've randomly just come across very nice people, so that's been great. And then when we pass each other later, like, we always say hello. Keep in mind, if you ever go on semester at sea, there are always a bunch of nice people everywhere. I feel very lucky with the people I've been able to meet so far, just because they're generally my type of people. You know when you can tell you can be friends with someone kind of right away? Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be judgmental here, but I feel like you can get that vibe pretty quick. Of course, don't judge someone immediately and then never talk to them, but once you can talk to someone, you can feel out their vibes, and if you connect. It's great because I can pretty much be myself, and yeah, if you've ever been around people where you can't be yourself, that's never any fun. So very happy to find some great friends on semester at sea. Although I will say one thing I don't want to do, or I did not want to do before going on semester at sea, was to just settle into a group, quote group, immediately and feel comfortable. Because one, I feel like meeting a whole bunch of people on the ship is very, very important. Everyone is on the ship maybe for a different reason. It's such a unique experience, so meeting more people the better. But two, I remember watching a bunch of YouTube videos, things like that, about semester at sea, and people kept saying, which obviously is very true, so I wanted to say it, just remember that the people you meet on the first day or the first week or even the first month, I guess, they don't have to be your closest friends the whole voyage. It's important, very important, to branch out. So that's something I still keep in mind today, to branch out. So that's still something I want to keep in mind, and to not settle and stay comfortable in a little group. And kind of along those lines, being comfortable being by yourself is so important, because sometimes, like, I remember I used to be a little nervous sitting by myself alone at lunch or whatever, not on semester at sea, but just like in high school or something. And now thinking about that, I'm like, why were you nervous? Nobody cares, number one. Number two, it is fun to be by yourself. Like, and I find that it's important to do some things by yourself, like have a meal by yourself, things like that. Go to the gym by yourself. That's typically what I do, because I mean, I just like doing that and jamming to music in my head and pushing yourself. Oh, amazing. And even, let's say, like, you want to go to a club and maybe you're a little nervous to go, just do it. If you don't know anyone, you could definitely meet someone great there. Fortunately, my roommate and I, actually, we signed up for pretty much the same club, so we've been going together, testing them out and whatnot. So that's been a ton of fun. Even, like, if I get breakfast in the morning, it's usually kind of early, and I find it super nice to watch the sunrise while eating a big breakfast, let me tell you. And then maybe journaling a little. The vibes are just great because you can listen to the sound of the waves, the nature. And again, this is all by myself at my own little table. It's generally not too crowded at this time or this hour. So it's a ton of fun, and I like it. So if you're ever on semester at sea, definitely try to wake up early, get breakfast, journal. I need to work on that though. Oh, I realized I also didn't tell you about my cabin and how that has been. My cabin is on the 4th deck, which is the lowest deck you can get for being a student on the voyage, I believe. Definitely the first few days, few weeks, when you hike up to Lido again, which is on deck 8, you may be out of breath. You'll get used to it. They have elevators. Of course, I try not to use those. But again, so my cabin, 4th deck. Above me on the 5th deck is reception, which is who or where you go to for the majority of your questions and problems. You also have a phone in your cabin. I didn't even realize you could actually use it. Apparently you can use it to call other cabins, and you can call reception. But for instance, reception is who you go to if you lose your room key, because we have a room key, although I don't think many people lock their rooms. I certainly don't. Also, I kind of lost my room key, so I'm going to have to go up to reception one day and get a charge of like $50. Don't even ask me how I lost it. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. Okay, last thing I'll touch on is the Wi-Fi. I don't mind the lack of Wi-Fi. It's really much better than I thought. Like, you can use WhatsApp whenever. WhatsApp always works. WhatsApp, if you don't know, it's just a messaging platform. The one thing you can't do is if someone sends a photo, you definitely cannot load it. You won't be able to see it, which can be annoying. You're given like 7 minutes of Wi-Fi a day, and this is where you scramble to do whatever you need to do on as much internet as possible that you need. Like for me, usually I'll try to call people from home, my parents. It can be annoying if you're talking to them and then you're on FaceTime and then it just freezes the call mid-sentence or mid-laugh. That's always awkward. The Wi-Fi, no complaints, except if I really need it. It refreshes like every 24 hours, so I always have to wait. Like if I don't start my Wi-Fi at 10 p.m. one day, then the next day it won't refresh until 10 p.m. So that can get a little annoying if I wanted to do something in the morning and I already wasted all my 7 minutes. Other than that, nothing too terrible. The one nuisance kind of with the Wi-Fi, I'll say, is that the computers on the ship, they have the greatest Wi-Fi connection compared to our personal desktop, whatever. There were only 4 of them. So of course they're very popular, and they're very popular for booking in-port travel plans. Like, as I said, I'm going to Kenya right now. We're booking a safari. Sometimes there is quite of a long wait or a line with only 4 computers for over 400, 500 people on this ship. Just keep that in mind. Alrighty, so now I'd like to transition to the closing segment, my gratitude section. I still need to come up with a name for this. But 3 things I'm grateful for. First thing I want to say I'm grateful for is finding a great group to do a safari with. One of my friends and I, we were kind of panicking a little because we both wanted to meet new people and not really settle right away for a safari. Then somehow it worked out perfectly where I met someone and then she needed people for a safari. So I'm very, very, very excited for the safari that we're going to do in Kenya. It's only a 3-day, 2-night one. I'm looking forward to that so much, seeing the animals. I cannot wait. Number 2, I'm going to say my health, even though, as you can probably tell right now, I have a bit of a cold. Nothing terrible, but for the most part, my health has been pretty good. Never take your health for granted, even though we probably all do. So that's number 2 for me. Number 3, I'm going to say always grateful for all the workers here. Shout out to Joyce. She works at the pool bar, then also the library bar there. They even remember your name. I don't know how. I really don't know how. It is tremendously difficult. Can you imagine how many faces they try to remember? It is crazy. Those are my 3 gratitudes for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for many, many more episodes to come. I'm very excited to keep making this podcast and to hopefully be giving you a glimpse of what the semester at sea study abroad experience has been like. Until next time, sincerely, Sof.